victory as a crew chief. Tell us how it felt.
It was really exciting for me and the whole OneMain Financial team. It was a really neat deal, and really proud of all the guys.
Yeah, man, we saw how you gambled last week. We're in Vegas. So what kind of gambling are we going to see down there on that 2-pit box?
Well, I mean, the gambles are kind of different every week, so we'll just have to see how it works out this week. Depends on what the tire wear and the fuel usage is, and you know, sometimes what looks like a risky call at home may not be here from the box.
All right, Luke. Well, good luck with anything you try today, and hope you have good luck. Thanks for talking to him.
Thanks, guys.
Spoken like a crew chief. It's a calculated gamble.
Yeah. He's not going to tell us what he's going to do, though.
Yeah. Heard from the driver, heard from the crew chief, the rear tire changer for Elliott Sadler today. Jake Lind is going to carry us over the wall into action for him. What's the sign there? Happy birthday, Jessica. You got it done. Have a great race down there today, Jake. We appreciate you carrying our camera.
Yeah, that apple doesn't fall far from the tree. His dad, Will Lind, worked with the 3-car back in the day.
Onboard camera views for you today, some great ones. Elliott Sadler on the pole with our nationwide insurance camera. Austin Dillon, good one to possibly win. The American Ethanol camera. Danica Patrick with GoDaddy.com. Mark Martin in the Goodyear camera. Brad Keselowski in the Dodge with the Dodge camera. Casey Kane on the front row. The Chevy camera. Trevor Bain has got our Ford on board. And Kenny Wallace for the nationwide insurance camera. All getting set to go. So, 1.5-mile track today for 300 miles. The math says that's 200 laps. It's a fairly grueling race.
Yeah, it's going to take its toll, and you know, kind of warm here today, but you see the progressive banking. The drivers love this track. I expect the grooves to widen out quite a bit, and they're going to use all of that 20 degrees of banking to their advantage.
Yeah, you see that 60 laps in that pit window? We may see that tried today. We saw it last time. Mark Martin went 60 laps to win the last one.
One spot to watch today on the racetrack. Turn 4 as the drivers come up off of that banking and transition onto this front stretch. That exit of turn, you already see some of the skid marks in there for the weekend. That's a tricky spot.
Yeah, it really is. You need all of the racetrack because you get back to the gas so early and carrying a lot of momentum out of the corner, and the track flattens out pretty quickly there. You have to be careful not to get into the wall. Yeah,
I know you'll see some drivers touch that wall. We've seen it this weekend, and that is where the momentum carries you, and it flattens out fairly quick as fast as they're running here.
So a place to watch for the ongoing of those 200 laps today. Great starting spot for Brian Scott on the outside of row 2. Joe Gibbs Racing's 11 car, that bright yellow machine. This on their radio.
Good job all weekend. Put it together for 200 laps. Have a good day on pit road. Track position is key up here. I'll do everything I can. We'll have a good day.
Yeah, I talked to Brian Scott earlier this week, and his confidence is extremely high for this race. They got a good car.
Good crowd on hand, great weather, and we hope for a very exciting race, a race that's featured some really interesting twists of plot near its finish in recent years. Pit strategy will be huge. A winner, well, yeah, there are some favorites in the field, but it's hard to make the call for sure who's going to take the checkers first.
It really is, and I think this is another day that we can see what you might call an upset. I believe it's in the making. A lot of young drivers very hungry.
Pace cars off. Elliott Sadler to the left as you look at it. Casey Kane to the inside of the racetrack. We're set to go for 300 miles at Vegas.
Sadler get a little bit of an advantage with that top line there, is able to drive it into the corner a little bit harder.
Brian Scott, the outside of Casey Kane for second. Watch now as the cars work through turns 1 and 2. Watch the suspension on the cars. Watch how they deal with the bumps and the cars go up and down. You'll see it all race long.
Yeah, you can see Ricky Stenhouse there right on the bumper of Brian Scott. You run plenty fast enough to get a real drafting effect here.
Yeah, I saw the last lap, the first lap down the back straightaway, that Brian Scott got a big draft push down there and ran up on Elliott Sadler's rear bumper. So we'll see some of that drafting. Not as big as you see at Daytona, but you'll see it used.
Ricky
Stenhouse.
Yeah, just going to say, Ricky Stenhouse in the 6 and Brian Scott in the 11.
There were a number of people that talked to me about Ricky Stenhouse's car that seemed to be really, really fast and didn't give up a lot as they put some laps on the tires.
Brad Keselowski there. I thought that was going to be 3 wide for a second.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that a couple of those finishes we talked about, he's been in the highlights, kind of on the wrong side of them. He'd like to change that today.
In the woulda, coulda, shoulda department?
Yeah.
He woulda, coulda, shoulda won a couple of these things in the last few years.
I was talking to Justin Allgaier earlier. He said that they could run in their practice runs even 2 or 3 laps without ever lifting the throttle. And they were expecting to qualify, did qualify with the throttle flat all the way, but even in the race, they said they can do that some. A lot of grip.
Keselowski in the 22, Mark Martin in the 18 behind him, just ahead. This is the race for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Austin Dillon in the 3 we ride on board with, and he's getting challenged there by Justin Allgaier in the 31.
Yeah, you heard Dr. Jerry Punch talking about Austin Dillon and the job he's done these first 2 races of really not getting himself into any bad positions. You know, backing out, letting the race come to him, and has got himself in the 2nd spot in the points right now.
And at 31, Allgaier, driver and team with confidence.
Now you can see just down that back straightaway how rough the track is. That left rear tire on Austin's car just bouncing up down over the bump.
Yeah, it's not just in the corners that it's rough. The roughest part is the entry to turn 1, but most of these drivers, unless they're side by side, they're going to try to be around that going into turn 1. You see right there, the 31 of Justin Allgaier hit those bumps a little bit, and it'll really make the car weave back and forth, almost to the point of being out of control. You just have to get out of the gas. You can see he loses a spot to Brad Keselowski.
At 6th position there that just changed hands. So Elliott Sadler leads. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 2nd. Brian Scott 3rd. Casey Kane 4th in the 38. And then Austin Dillon 5th in that 3. Back a little bit to Mark Martin, where he runs in 9th position in this 18 car, just ahead of Brendan Gaughan in the 33.
Yeah, you see Mark's car really wiggle getting in the corner. I talked to him down on the grid before qualifying. He says, you know, I got a fast car, but this thing is not, I just don't feel like it's under me all the way. He said, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just I'm not used to these cars, but he says, I'm not really all that comfortable, even though I'm pretty quick.
And that wasn't the first bobble that he's had in these opening 8 laps. A couple of laps ago. Watch this.
Wow, I say that's not comfortable.
Wow.
Goodness.
Look at that.
That's incredible.
He and the man that's in the 54 back there right behind him are about 2
Only 2 that could do that.
maybe do that, get away with that. Just great car control. But, you know, not to overreact in that situation right there.
54
Really,
being
really good.
Kyle Busch.
Yes.
So clean through the opening 9 laps thus far. Elliott Sadler got around Casey Kane on the first lap. He's paced them all so far. We're caution free, but we're very early here in Vegas.
Nobody does what Papa John's does.
Introducing
At Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the first caution of the race has just come out. That tricky turn 4 we were discussing just before the start of the race is caught up a couple of drivers. 08 car is Kyle Fowler making his Nationwide Series debut. There he is.
See Mike Bliss in the 44 get pretty close to his rear bumper. No contact there, but it probably took a lot of the air off of his rear spoiler. Spun, didn't hit anything.
He did a great job of spinning the car out and not hitting anything. The other drivers did a real good job of not hitting him.
But in behind him, the 24 car, Benny Gordon, locked up the brakes to avoid piling in and literally crashed down pit road. Everything okay there. Pit stops, Dave.
Well, for sure, Kyle Busch is going to come down pit road and fix a car that he calls wrecking loose. We saw a tremendous save off of turn number 4 a while back. He is going to take on 0 tires, though, save those for later, perhaps get a spring rubber in the left rear and drop the track bar. Those 2 things should help this car be a little easier for Kyle to control. Doc?
Ricky Stenhouse says, you know, I don't have any overall grip, and the front's even worse than the rear. So we're going to do a half around only, fuel it, top it off, no tires, down and away.
All right, a mixture of strategy there. Some of the leaders came down the pit lane, some did not. As we work caution for the first time in this race. Remember we were talking about Mark Martin making that great save? Here's Kyle Busch.
Not to be outdone. Oh, man, big save.
then the accident happened behind him. Let's put us under caution. In the early moments here at Las Vegas, mentioned the crash that brought out the first caution was a two-parter. You saw the spin by Kyle Fowler on the track. Now in the aftermath of it, watch what happened to put that kind of damage on Benny Gordon's car that's sending it back toward the garage, right at the screen.
It looked like he was going to try to come down pit road, maybe got on the brakes too hard and the car turned left, got into the pit wall. Have to take it behind the wall to do some more work on it, probably back to the garage area.
Yeah. And fortunately, everything okay, and Gordon's car bouncing off that pit wall and away. Now, a lot of strategy on the pit stops. The top 9 cars on the racetrack did not pit under this caution. First one in line who did pit will be the 11 of Brian Scott. You'll see him on the outside of row number 5 in 10th position for the restart. There is Scott right there. Elliott Sadler again. Kind of looks like the start of the race all over. Sadler choosing the outside row for the restart, putting Casey Kane to his inside. Little pushing and shoving in that initial get-go on the restart.
You can see how Sadler makes that outside work a little bit better, being able to carry momentum. Whoa, close to come wall right there, though, getting off the turn.
That was Stenhouse in the 6. Had his hands full.
You see Keselowski utilizing that apron in the tri-oval. You see that quite a bit. Looks like Stenhouse maybe got against the wall getting in the corner.
He's sure blowing some dust off up there. He's going to make a new groove for himself, so they're 3 wide.
Kyle Busch in the 54, Austin Dillon in the 3, Stenhouse in the 6. Now Stenhouse to the outside of Mike Bliss in the 44.
You can see Stenhouse carrying so much momentum through that corner on the outside. He's going to ease right on by this 11 car of Brian Scott. Well, it looked like he was. It's like Brian wants that high lane.
A number of these drivers talk about lack of grip, and I think it has more to do with this new tire. It's a softer tire. We've seen higher speeds than what we have seen here in the past, but I think it's going to go away a little bit more on them. Really going to put a premium on handling here, which is the way that it should be.
Some of the cars that made pit stops here, overtaking some of those who did not. 27 car, got his hands full. J.J. Yaley.
Buscher there makes it 3 wide, utilizing that apron.
You see Cole Witt there in the 88. He had a little accident in practice yesterday off of turn 2. Got in the wall, but they were able to repair that car.
That's Buscher, the Daytona winner, in the 30 car there. 4th place here, Mark Martin 18, Brad Keselowski 22. So we saw Mark with that nice save off of turn number 2 in the opening laps. Reports on the 18 car, Vince.
Well, it's interesting. When he saved it, Alan, he said, woo! Maybe the understatement of the race so far. He said, we're kind of loose. But he told crew chief Adam Stevens, I think that the track is going to tighten up, so we're going to be okay. I'm no worse than the others around us, but there's very little grip. If it does get better as the run goes on and start to snug up a little bit, look for Mark Martin to go to the front, Alan.
That's one thing Mark told me down on the grid for qualifying. He said, I just don't really know how I need this car to handle to get started in these races. He said, every one of these nationwide races I've run, I've been too loose. And he said, I think I've got it tight enough today. We'll see. It wasn't tight enough early.
No, I don't think he's got it to that point yet, but these things are difficult to adjust. So just have to see if they utilize wedge, track bar, some air pressure, exactly what it's going to take here today to help Mark be able to stand the gas a little bit more.
Just ahead of Mark, one of the hottest drivers in the Nationwide Series, dating back to the end of last season, Brad Keselowski. 3 seconds and a first in his last 4 races. Dave, right now, he's trying to overtake Justin Allgaier for 3rd.
Alan, he's also a guy with good reasons for staying out and not pitting that last time. Listen to his radio.
What's weird is I see these guys, like, I had that 3 car in front of me and a couple other guys, even Casey, that would drive into 3, and they would drive into a push really bad. They'd drive it empty, and they'd run up the hill about 2 car width, and it's like their car would just, as soon as they got to that 2nd car width, turn again. And I don't feel like mine will do that.
So no big push going into the corner. No reason to stop right now. Brad very happy with the 22 car.
Dave, thanks. And you can see from watching this camera shot how hard the driver's working, particularly in that turn 4 area.
Yeah, one thing you can't see is that G-force that works against you in these high bank turns at that speed. Dale, you can speak to that, but it's got to be, you know, this makes it look easy, but it's not.
No, it's not at all. And you can see just how little Brad was out of the throttle there. I mean, just for a split second. See, working the steering wheel a little bit. It's a full day's work inside these cars just to try to keep that momentum up.
I mentioned Brad's run in these last 4 races. I never really paid much attention to this stuff personally, but when you're in Vegas, you kind of can't help it. He was the odds favorite in the sports book to win this race today.
No surprise there.
Yeah. Brad Keselowski, former series champion. Looking to go one place better, maybe one lap better at Vegas. Remember, he led at the white flag last year and lost.
We're here to demonstrate.
Under caution at Las Vegas, Kyle Busch has just driven his car into that garage stall number 5 after a crash on the backstretch. Pit stops for the leaders, Vince.
Mark Martin comes in 4th place, upper left of your screen, needs it to be tightened up. They're going to make an air pressure adjustment, a round and a half a wedge, and 4 tires. Jamie?
Casey came below him in the 38, said the right rear keeps stepping out in 3 and 4. Loose, they're going down on the track bar, 4 tires. Dave?
Most recent report for Keselowski. Car wants to spin out off of turn 4. Tight landing on both ends. Air pressure adjustment. Doc, he stalls it.
And there he goes. Elliott Sadler getting 4 tires as he getting loose up off, trying to take some air out of the front. Track bar adjustments, and I'm overheating the right rear. Get some weight off the right rear, half a round of wedge in the left rear. Guys?
Keselowski losing 4 spots.
And a little change of lead on pit road on the stops. Kasey Kahne edging Elliott Sadler at that scoring line. Caution brought out by Kyle Busch in the 54. Remember, we saw him having all kind of trouble in turn 4 a few laps earlier. This was in turn 2.
They're trying to make a pass on Sam Hornish here. Just gets a little bit loose down on the inside. Looked like he might save it. Wasn't able to.
Watch it, stay half, stay half, stay half. Come on, clear all around. Out.
Las Vegas native Kyle Busch, his team working on his car. This racetrack that has been kind to him. He's got a win here in the Sprint Cup Series. Has been very frustrating for him in the Nationwide Series. And this spin a minute ago caused this damage to his Toyota.
Well, he kept driving it and missed that first wall, but then this one just couldn't quite keep it out.
So the work continues to try and get that 54 back out onto the racetrack. Remember, Kyle and his brother Kurt got a team to drive that car in all the races and hoping to contend for the Owners' Championship in the Nationwide Series. 38, Kasey Kahne chooses the outside lane as the leader on this restart as we go back to green. Mark Martin makes it 3 wide on the backstretch.
The biggest thing that time was lane choice. You saw Kasey Kahne had the choice of the outside lane. I don't know if it's that or the fact that the leader gets to start first, but it really cost Elliott.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a combination. It's just so rough on the inside of the racetrack on your entrance to turn 1. Car will go bouncing around. Your car usually starts off a little bit loose anyway. Makes it very difficult.
So after not getting going on the restart and then the 3 wide move by Mark Martin, Elliott Sadler finds himself from 1st to 7th and fighting to hang on to that. Justin Allgaier 31 to his inside.
Yeah, really struggling right now with this 2 car.
Yeah, one thing that happens when you have a car, you know, that's just borderline where how it's handling. It was out front, so it was pretty good with clean air, but once you get back in traffic, it makes it a whole lot harder. The car doesn't drive anywhere near the same. Elliott really struggling now.
Update from his pit, Doc.
And guys, Elliott has said within a lap of going back to green, he said, I can tell I'm overheating and really hurting that right rear tire. When that happens, he said the car loses all side bite. He said in the middle of the corner and gets very, very free. They took a half a round in the left rear to try to get weight off that right rear, but it's already heating up the right rear and losing grip from the center off.
Doc, thanks. And one of the problems for his crew chief Luke Lambert in trying to help adjust this car is you're only going to get a couple of cracks at pit road during this race.
Yeah, it's real frustrating. You see Luke there trying to make some notes, thinking about what he's going to do the next time and try to keep his car up front. I mean, he only lost one spot on pit road, but they need to get the car a little bit tighter on the go.
Yeah, the other side of it is they haven't worked together that much yet. 2 races in with this, even though they won last week, much more high-speed racetrack. So what level is it that Elliott's loose that he needs some adjustment?
On the move, 33, Brendan Gaughan, another Las Vegas native.
Another car out of that RCR stable. It's a really good trio of cars they've brought here, all brand new race cars with all the new technology that they've gotten out of RCR. I've seen Brendan having a good run so far. I asked him, I said, what's going to be a good day for you today? He said, top 5. He said, man, I really think we're going to finish in the top 5.
Brendan, former winner in NASCAR's Camping World Truck Series here at Vegas, working on Sam Hornish, trying to get that 8th spot right now.
You can see that they're really working that high side. Now Brendan has a run. He's going to make the pass, I believe, on the high side. You really would like, as a driver, to be able to dive to that inside, but you just know that it's going to be difficult with the bumps that are there and the aero situation of getting to the inside of another car. You put yourself in a very vulnerable position. Really surprised at listening to all of these drivers. I mean, it almost seems to a driver that everybody's talking about being extremely loose here.
Yeah, we've seen several times now these guys get to about the start-finish line on the front stretch, like Elliott Sadler just did on Sam Hornish, and it almost looks like a slingshot in the draft. They're getting to running around the outside or trying to find running room down to the inside in this part of the racetrack.
You were talking about cars being loose, Dale. I talked to Luke Lambert in the garage. He was saying that he was real worried about their car being too loose entering the corner. You're looking at all their tire data and the way this tire does react and the way the track has been. He said it's going to be really hard to keep the car tight enough getting in the corner. It's like Mark Martin's made some headway on his car right there in third spot. We saw how loose he was to start.
Yeah, how about Brian Scott up there in second? He's actually starting to run Casey Kane down just a little bit. Great run for him so far.
Talked to Brian earlier today, and he was very confident. He thought they really had something special for today.
Yeah, he kind of stopped short of saying he was going to win, but you could see it in his face that he felt like he had a car that could do that.
Update Danica Patrick in the 7 car.
She's working hard in there. You see, working that bottom groove over those bumps. Vince?
One of the things that Tony Eury Jr. told me just before the race, he said, we want to make sure it's not loose on entry because Danica loses confidence when she can't get it into the corner, and that's exactly what they've been dealing with, a very loose car through the turns. They made a wedge adjustment and also put in a spring rubber in the left rear on that last pit stop, Alan.
All right, Vince, thanks.
Yeah, and she's not the only driver out there who loses confidence when that thing's loose into the corner. That's the hardest situation as a driver to try to overcome.
Picked up a spot there around Joe Nemechek, up to 19th. Front of the pack, 3rd place. 18, Mark Martin, being challenged and pressured there by the defending series champ, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in that 6.
Oh, got him really loose right there. Mark Martin had to slide up out, get out of the throttle, give the spot away. Didn't give it away. Ricky Stenhouse took it, I should say.
And Keselowski in the 22 through Mark Martin as well.
Let me ask you this, Dale. Do you take exception to that when a driver really loosens you up? Looks like you do it kind of on purpose to get the spot.
No, that's part of it, you know. That's one of the tools you have as a driver. Now, if he hits you, that's one thing. But getting up there and using the air, you know, that's all fair game. Doesn't say you like it. I'm just saying it's just, you know, you understand that that's part of what happens out here.
Keselowski looking like he's working the back bumper of that 6-0 pretty well. Big bobble there for Stenhouse Jr. in the 6.
I can't drive it hard enough to get to them. They can enter so much faster than me, and their front end's still working.
Caution out, trouble for Joey Gase in the 39 car. And the yellow is out for the 3rd time in this race.
And that's the makings of a right front tire going down. If he ran over something there.
Definitely the right front's down. You can see all the damage on the right side.
Gase, the 19-year-old, in just his 8th start, running 28th at the time.
No one was anticipating any problem. Didn't hear of any wear problems throughout practice or anything like that. So you have to think that maybe he ran over something. You don't use a lot of brake here.
Maybe a little contact too. You know, we've seen a lot of cars running side by side and get a little bit of contact there. It can cut the sidewall out of the tire or even get the valve stem.
So Luke Lambert, another chance to adjust this car for Elliott Sadler.
Can they afford to come in and get more tires here this quickly? It hasn't been that long ago they were on pit road and got tires.
Yeah, they're going to be reluctant to put another set of tires on at this point, but that's where it gets tricky for these crew chiefs.
And a look back at what we can see of what happened to Joey Gase.
It's already happened here. You can see up against the wall and the safer barrier.
Usually, like you said, that kind of an incident means something happened on that right front going into the corner.
Well, whatever happened, they've got a lot of work to do. They've got some suspension damage and probably end up having to go behind the wall to fix it.
All right, let's tidy up a couple things. You talked about taking on tires. If you're new to NASCAR, Nationwide Series teams are limited to a number of sets of tires that they can run for the entire weekend. Teams start the race today with 1 set on the car and 4 more in the pits that they can change during the course of the race, something NASCAR does to contain costs. Tires cost money, and teams will spend a lot of money, and you'll exaggerate the difference between the haves and the have-nots if you let it be unlimited.
Yeah, we might just see some fuel and adjustments on these cars that need tightening up a little bit.
Yeah, I like staying out. You see right there, Casey Kane staying out. He even staying out at the last second, decides to stay out.
First one to head for the pit lane. Justin Allgaier, the 9th place runner. 3rd caution out. Still early in Las Vegas.
It's a big one.
Big one.
Yeah, that's it. Brad Keselowski, Radio Communications. This you'll find interesting.
Did you see how Ricky got by Mark? Yeah, that wasn't very cool. Okay. That's what I thought. See what kind of memory Mark has on this restart. He'll be right behind him.
See, Dale, I didn't think that was cool.
I know what anything wrong with it. He never touched him.
That's your Mark.
You got to expect this. Guy knows you're a little bit loose. You're having a difficult time getting around him, so it's what you use. Air's the one thing that you have to use.
It's free.
He did it. It's free. That's right.
This should be a good view. Mark Martin's back on.
3108. Good lap. Coming inside 22. 1 back. Got a run. Coming inside. There's a hole right there.
Now, I'm not saying that Mark Martin won't remember that at some point in time.
Usually Mark will give you a spot if he thinks you're faster. He's not going to hold you up, especially early in the race. But we'll see how he handles it.
18 Martin lined up right behind Stenhouse in the 6 for the restart. Problem is there's that outside line of cars there that might complicate things if Mark tries to deliver a message.
Yeah, 3 wide off of turn 2, the last restart.
Elliott Sadler there getting the restart here in the outside lane. Maybe he can get going a little better.
It looked like his car was coming back to him, maybe tightening up a little bit as they got some laps on the tires.
And all this discussion going on behind Casey Kane. Remember, he took the lead on the set of pit stops a little while ago. That 38's been out in front ever since. Brian Scott in the 11. Can he get clear of Kane and take the race lead?
Yeah, he's all clear on the back straightaway.
First time we've seen that, somebody on the inside take that. But I tell you, those guys in 3rd and 4th were on the go right then and actually pushed Brian Scott.
I'll tell you, Brian Scott in that 11, he's got looked like a real good horse under the hood of that car today. Watched him on the straightaway. Been really fast, and that restart really showed it. Man, look at him pull this field.
3 wide behind there. Sam Hornish to the apron.
Brendan Gaughan in the middle. Trevor Bayne on the outside in the 60.
And when they redid this racetrack, that's what made this great. The progressive banking, you can do all that, go through there 3 wide, enter these corners 3 wide with no problem.
Here's Trevor Bayne working at the throttle, having to get out of it slightly.
Did he get out of it to give Sam Hornish a break, or did he get out of it to give himself a break?
Yeah.
That outside wall.
Yeah, I think it could have been a little bit of both. You can really get a arrow push coming up out of the corner there.
Yeah, you can see even the drafting that the 33 of Brendan Gaughan was getting down the straightaway.
Trevor Bayne in the 60, Hornish in the 12, racing for 8th and 9th. This, the last race, we'll probably see Trevor Bayne in that 60 car for a while in this Nationwide Series. No sponsorship on that car. They said they were going to run the first 3 races of the year. This is the 3rd. There are no plans to go to the Bristol race next Saturday with Trevor Bayne in the Nationwide Series.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate in a couple of ways. I mean, this is a very talented young driver. You'd think that somewhere out there, there's a company looking to get their name out there and be associated with a really good driver, and then he's going to what he considers his home track and not be able to run next week at Bristol.
And Trevor from Knoxville, Tennessee. But the Roush Fenway team continues to work to put backing together for both Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in that 6 and Trevor Bayne in the 60.
Stenhouse, so fun to watch. He keeps that car just so much on the edge, especially at these high-speed tracks. Not afraid to take it anywhere. I mean, he'll take it right to the edge of the groove. See right here, he's just holding off that 22 of Keselowski.
Just joining us, we're a quarter of the distance into today's NASCAR Nationwide Series 300-miler at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Up front for the lead, Kasey Kahne in the 38. Brian Scott in the 11 go at it side by side. Elliott Sadler started on pole, led most of the early going of this race. Kahne took the lead on a set of pit stops, and then has been challenged by Scott since this most recent restart. Now Kahne getting the lead back from Brian Scott in the 11 car.
So Brian, as they went into turn 1, looked like he almost touched that wall getting in.
Yeah, I'm not sure he didn't get a little piece of it. Trying to really arc it in.
I saw some sparks flying. Something was lighting it up.
He's cleaning that outside groove off for sure.
Here's Elliott Sadler in the 2, trying to pass his Richard Childress teammate Austin Dillon in the 3. Sadler shuffled back to 7th after losing the lead on that pit stop and then having some trouble in traffic on the get-go.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. If you got a loose race car, you saw he got the position on Austin, but being down on that inside, getting in the corner, didn't look like he wanted any part of that.
No, you're exactly right. That's just what you can't do. You've got a loose car already, and then you take some air away from that spoiler being beside another car. You just can't drive it off in there. You can, but you're probably going to crash.
Okay, so what's he going to do? He's going to keep working Austin until he can get on the outside of him, getting in the corner?
I would say that's something that he's going to get, maybe try to work him hard, get to him, and probably through the tri-oval is the best place that you can really get a nice run and get to the outside.
So this is how we race teammates.
Yeah, it sounds like he's not real happy with not being able to take that spot from Austin. They're supposed to be teammates, and what do you do in this situation? I got to think if Austin thinks he's faster, he's not going to let him go.
Your teammates, but it's still every man for himself on the racetrack, or every woman for herself as well. Danica Patrick in 18th position right now, by the way. Joanna Long is in 22nd. Kyle Busch, work continues on his car back in the garage after a crash early. Kasey Kahne out in front. Just past a quarter distance today here in Vegas. Build on that success after outrunning her dad, the legendary John Force, in the Funny Car semifinals a week ago. Our coverage moves on to Bristol next week. Thunder Valley, ESPN next Saturday at 1 Eastern Time. High bank half mile. Hard racing, fast racing. That is next weekend on ESPN. Samstown 300 from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The race for the lead there. Kasey Kahne 38, Brian Scott 11. Make sure to go to NASCAR.com for all your latest NASCAR information. Cars on the lead lap. We've had 3 cautions so far. A Kyle Fowler spin in turn 4. Joey Gase hit the wall in turn 1, and Kyle Busch with a spin off turn 2 into the inside wall. That back at lap number 25. Dave Burns has an update on what's going on with the Kyle Busch camp.
And Alan, it was about lap 23 that he radioed his car was really loose in the center of 3 and 4, I guess both ends to be exact. The team says that the suspension wasn't really damaged too badly on the car. A lot of sheet metal damage, and the rear end only moved over a little bit. So they're putting a new rear deck lid, new spoiler on, and going to get Kyle back out onto the track. You already mentioned earlier the reason why he and brother Kurt running for the Owners' Championship. NASCAR officials looking on to make sure this car is safe for both Kyle and the other competitors before he leaves the garage.
Dave, thanks. NASCAR tracking 2 sets of points, one for drivers, one for teams or owners. And Kyle and his brother Kurt hoping that they can be atop those standings at the end of the season. Just about a third of the way into this race. Time to go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance. Kasey Kahne is the leader, Jamie.
And Kasey Kahne holding up the 11 right now. He's only come in for one stop, and on that stop, they tried something different. They took scuffs. Kasey loved it. He said it cut his looseness in half. The bad news now, they have stickers from here on out. They must rely on adjustments. And Kasey's saying right now, the car is getting looser. Vince?
On the heels of the leader is the 11 car of Brian Scott. He led 5 laps earlier. One of the few drivers that hasn't been complaining about a real loose race car. In fact, he says he's been a little bit snug and pushing the nose, but it's now starting to turn a little neutral. Dave?
Brad Keselowski right behind him running third. His car was tight on landing and a little loose in the corners. They made an air pressure adjustment his one time down pit road. He's been reporting that it took off much better. Call for more adjustments on the next round of pit stops as well. Doc?
And back in fourth spot, Ricky Stenhouse. They've been complaining the car has no left rear drive and no front grip at all. But in spite of that, he had driven by Brad Keselowski for third. But now that no front grip is taking his toll. He has lost that spot and trying to hang on. What about Mark Martin, Vince?
Well, Mark says the car has been loose. That's what he's been fighting throughout much of the day, and he and crew chief Adam Stevens recently discussing what they're going to do on the next pit stop to continue to snug it up. But Mark has kept it in the top 5, and when you've got Mark Martin in the car with Joe Gibbs equipment, it's looking good when you're hanging around the top 5, Doc.
You got to be. What about Elliott Sadler? Whoa, smoke on the racetrack, guys. Elliott Sadler.
There was trouble on the front straightaway. Contact between another car and Jennifer Jo Cobb in the 13. Sent Cobb's machine down onto the apron, up the banking in turn 1.
We didn't hit a thing. The only damage was from him. We did not hit a thing.
She almost managed to keep that car from making any significant impact, and that was close.
Yeah, she got forced down low. You see right here.
Yeah.
She
thanks Mike Bliss that was trying to go by.
She gets down here and looks like she's just going to maybe spin the car out, but then she's got this angle going straight up on the track. She's lucky no one was coming. Yep,
wow.
She didn't hit. I don't know how.
And didn't get hit by anyone else.
Yeah, there wasn't anybody coming when she came back up on the track. That was real lucky.
So caution number 4 out in this race. And that one could have been a whole lot worse. There are a lot of options for things to hit there. The inside wall, the outside wall, other cars, and that one all worked out. Mike Shiplett, crew chief there for Kasey Kahne, told me he hoped this race had a lot of long green flag runs. Toward the end of that long run, Brad Keselowski was starting to run that 38 down.
Yeah, they're probably going to make an adjustment on this car of Kasey Kahne because that 22 of Keselowski really was the strongest at the end of that run.
And the leaders will all pit here. Just about at the 1/3 mark of the race. Vince?
Well, it's been a good run so far for the 11 of Brian Scott. In fact, he says the car's really pretty good, but he'd like a little bit more stability. So a half round down on the track bar, 4 tires for Brian Scott, Jamie.
Kasey Kahne said his car was getting looser, wanted a bigger adjustment, going down a round and a half on the track bar, 4 sticker tires and Sunoco fuel. Dave?
4 tires for Brad Keselowski. Air pressure adjustment, awesome in 1 and 2, bouncy in 3 and 4, but gets better as he goes. Full of Sunoco fuel. Doc?
Couple cans of Sunoco fuel going in Ricky Stenhouse as well. They're going to make a major adjustment here, track bar and wedge adjustment. He said, I just need an overall grip, 4 tires, and the champ's away.
Summary of the pit stops. Elliott Sadler losing a couple spots. Kenny Wallace gaining a couple. Kasey Kahne's team holds the lead on pit lane. They gained the lead on a set of stops earlier. Nice job, Team 38.
Down with Florida today. Just pulled that one out at the end.
Yeah. Fascinating games to watch all week.
Oh, it's getting great.
Yeah. And those will be a couple of good ones to see tomorrow. Kasey Kahne holding the lead on the pit stops. Brad Keselowski to his inside as we go back at it. On the initial start and the first restart, the outside lane carried today. Actually, the first couple of restarts. Now the last couple of restarts, the inside lane has gotten it done.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what Kasey Kahne's doing. It's almost like he's trying to slow them down just before he's ready to take off. And it seems like that maybe his car's stumbling a little bit.
Yeah, we see the other drivers getting, reacting to those restarts and able to get the jump.
Trevor Bayne, 60, went 3 wide. Mark Martin bailed, gave him some room.
Yeah, Mark's one of those two that on fresh tires looks like he's really struggling on these restarts. His car extremely loose. See Cole Whitt in that 88 doing a nice job here again today.
Running in 11th spot, racing for 10th there with Sam Hornish in the 12. Just ahead, Brendan Gaughan, 33, outside of Martin in the 18.
Hey, they think a lot about Cole Whitt and his ability as a driver, this guy. I mean, they say he's going to continue to get better every race, and he just has tremendous amount of talent.
Cole's only 20 years old. He's just in his 6th Nationwide Series start. I talked to him this morning down in the team's transporter. I said, you think you're ready to win? And he said, you know, we just haven't hit the combination yet where I feel like everything's together. But I said, you know, I think you're showing a lot of patience and you're showing the poise that you need to win. And he smiled and he said, I like that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Alan. I think that this team overall is just a little bit off right now. I think they'll get their cars better as we go, but right now I don't think their cars are quite as good as we see the RCR cars now, and even some of the Gibbs cars and the Roush cars. I think they've got just a little bit of work to do, and I think Cole Whitt's doing a good job of not overdriving the car when he doesn't have maybe a winning car under him.
Holding the 11th spot there, just in front of Kenny Wallace in the 09. Vince, how about this 88?
Well, one of the things I think that's been a positive for these guys today is that they were in the neighborhood when the race started. So many of these other teams fought major loose. As you see Mark Martin working on the left side of your screen, Cole Whitt on the right-hand side of your screen. Whitt's car was just neutral early on, and they've snugged it up just a little bit, but they haven't made major changes to the 88, so that's a credit to Pops Yuri, the crew chief. I thought he gave Cole Whitt the best compliment when he said, that kid's a racer.
There you go. A little dicey there between Brendan Gaughan and Mark Martin.
Yeah, Mark was trying to make a pass on Trevor Bayne. He got his left front tire down below the white line in this spot the last lap. He wasn't able to get back to the gas. Brendan Gaughan almost ran over Mark Martin.
And they race there for 8th and 9th spots.
Brendan Gaughan really giving Mark a fit. Looks like Mark's car is just a little bit quicker. It's just Brendan's using that outside lane to his advantage and that momentum.
Pretty good motor in that 33 too. There you can kind of see that as it exits the corner.
Yeah, that outside lane will, and that momentum will make the motor look good. But I'm with you, Dale. I think they have really good power in the hood of these RCR cars. See Mark inside the car. He's got a kind of a different way of holding the steering wheel. Hey, he moves his right hand over when he gets to the corner. He kind of uses his elbow as to kind of brace himself in the car. You can see he even uses an elbow pad on that right arm.
Trevor Bayne in the 60. Being challenged by those guys. 7th, 8th, and 9th positions there.
See Brendan's reluctance to give up the spot. He's chased down Trevor Bayne, so he thinks if I can get there first, I can get by him and get going. Mark thinks he's got the faster car and needs to get by both of them.
Yeah, I think Brendan Gaughan, and you see he goes to the inside here. I was going to say he's going to have to try that inside because Trevor Bayne has been committed to that top. See if Brendan can make that work. This is how he made the pass on Mark Martin.
To Trevor Bayne's pit, Dave.
Struggling right now with the race car, Alan. The car won't turn for him. You see him go to the high side to try to make something out of it. He radioed in, hoping the air pressures would come up soon on this thing. And if he's holding these guys off, I guess it's not too bad.
Yeah. And still, Martin fighting to find a way around Brendan Gaughan.
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah, like right behind those, saw Sam Hornish get loose.
See Mark Martin get loose, trying to stay in the gas and maybe get up beside and get a little bit of air off of Brendan Gaughan's car there as he gets down into turn 1. But the bumps, you can see, just has to get out of the throttle. Fall back in line. That allowed Trevor Bayne to get away a little bit as they raced.
So watching this racing going on back in the pack, while up front, on that restart from the caution a minute ago, Brad Keselowski got by Kasey Kahne and has since driven away to a lead of 1.5 seconds. Here, as we go up to speed with Nationwide Insurance and find out what's going on with some of these cars just outside the top 10. Jamie?
Well, Sam Hornish Jr. is a veteran when it comes to Las Vegas Motor Speedway, from the IndyCar Series to Cup to testing, but this is his first Nationwide Series race, and it is a new challenge for him. He too has been saying he's loose, chattering the front. Last round of stops, he wanted what his teammate Brad Keselowski had, who's leading the race. Now behind him is the 31 of Justin Allgaier coming in yesterday. Justin said this is the best driving Nationwide car he's ever had at Las Vegas. But today is a new day, and it hasn't been that great. He too has been loose. They've been adjusting with wedge, and track bar isn't seeming to help too much. Behind him, the 09 of Kenny Wallace has gotten off to a bad start this season. He's had 2 DNFs, hoping to turn that around here in Las Vegas. They've been working on this car, hoping to get some sponsorship. You can see it's black. He doesn't have any sponsorship as of now.
And Jamie, up to 14th is the 7 car of Danica Patrick. They've been fighting a loose car throughout the course of the day, but her and crew chief Tony Eury Jr. are keeping their sense of humor about it.
Glad I didn't have another right rear spring in there that you was trying to talk me into.
Yeah. Thank you for being a veteran. I'd have been running the track like Darlington.
It was mean loose early, and we've got a crash. It's Brian Scott, Alan.
Vicious crash. Scott's car turned up into the outside wall in turn number 4 hard.
Yeah, it looked like he'd been struggling with his car. He'd lost a couple of spots. Looked like he might have gotten really loose. He was running 6 at the time, but he started to get loose, and he tried to correct it.
Yeah, that was that group of cars that had kind of gotten together there with Kasey Kahne and Mark Martin in that group. There's a lot of cars racing for spots. Looked like he's putting it down. That was a hard lick. Man, that was hard.
See Brian beginning to extricate himself from the car. Boy, that car took a hard right.
Yeah, it just doesn't take, boy, we talked about these cars being on the edge, and seen a few of them step out and some drivers be able to catch them, but you just overcorrect a little bit too much, and this is exactly what happens then.
Right side of the screen.
We had a car on the outside. That literally sucks your car around. You can see. Man, that's a hard hit. And that was Trevor Bayne that had gone around the outside of Brian Scott. And it just really literally pulls the back end of your car around right there. You see he's trying to save it. Oh, wow.
Man, that had to hurt. It's really hard. You know, your instinct is to try to save the car right there, but it turns back to the right so quickly, it's almost impossible to catch up with it.
Trevor Bayne do anything he shouldn't have there in that 6?
No, that's just he saw the opening to get to the outside and had a run there. And, you know, that's just another one of the aero situations that you can get yourself in. And when you have a loose race car, that's the type of things that happen. And we've seen this with Brian Scott a number of times over the last year and up to this point. Have some fast cars, they just can't seem to finish it off.
Yeah, it's good to see him jump out of the car.
Yeah, it really is.
Tough break today. He really had high hopes.
So the crash coming just as we approach the midway point of the race. The pit lane is going to be open this time for... they just changed their mind on that because they have an ambulance driving across the front of the opening to pit lane. to take Brian Scott for the mandatory trip to the medical center for a checkup.
See, they're going to keep it closed one more lap.
Well, what they're going to do is they're going to bring the cars down the pit lane so they're not driving through that debris field where Scott's car slid across from the wall to the apron, and not allow the cars to stop in their pit boxes. Just give the safety and cleanup workers a little room to get this debris picked up. Last thing you want to do, right, is put on a fresh set of tires on the pit stop and then go run through all that metal while they're trying to clean it up.
Yeah, especially when you're only limited to so many sets of tires. You don't want to use one up running over some debris.
So even though the cars are coming down the pit lane, if you stop in your pit stall here, you're going to have to go to the back of the pack for the restart, and no one should be doing that.
Yeah, NASCAR very aware of the situation that nobody's close on fuel here, so they can take a little extra time, make sure that they get all of that cleaned up, and then we'll have a very clean track as they put these fresh tires on.
So crews have a minute before they'll have to go to work. Fifth caution of the race for sixth place runner at the time, Brian Scott in that 11, who went for a nasty ride in turn 4.
You see that right there. That kind of lick, that safer barrier has really done a lot to reduce that energy that the driver absorbs in this kind of a crash.
Yeah, safer barrier and the Hans device, two of the best things that ever happened in this sport.
See just how much energy that is. That rear tire's coming off the ground. Let's go down to Tim Brewer in our ESPN Tech Garage. Tim?
Andy, when that car pulled to the outside, what happened? The airflow that's coming down the right side of the car is all affixed to the rear spoiler right here. But when the car pulls to the outside, what happens? The air comes around that, alleviates all the downforce off the right rear of the car. Another contributing factor, the left rear spring, they're running very little left rear spring in the car, but a tremendous amount of right rear spring. And when you're going through the corner, after the air pressure builds up, it really abuses the tire, because this spring is about 1,000 pounds, and it only suspension, the deflection is sidewall of the tire, it really abuses that thing. And when you're on the borderline getting through there, a little bit of air off the rear of the car really upsets the car. Alan?
Hey, Tim, you bring up a really good point. You know, these cars are designed to go left only, and that's, you know, when they do hook to the right, it really is violent, and they're not designed to do that, and it's really hard for the drivers to keep up with it. See, the car's still coming down pit road, but it is closed still.
Good demonstration of the ever-evolving race car, the rolling science project that these machines are. How can you make it get ultimate grip on all 4 tires through the corner and go through those turns faster than the next guy? Even though the cars are coming down the pit lane, the pit road is still closed, so no stops here for the leaders. We'll come back and cover them in a minute as we approach halfway at Vegas. Race. Brad Keselowski going to lead the front runners down, and this time it'll be for service. Vince, your guys will hit first.
Well, the 4-time nationwide winner here at Las Vegas, Mark Martin, been running in the top 5 all day. No tires on this stop, still trying to tighten it up, a track bar adjustment and Sunoco fuel. Jamie?
And big swing on this 38 car. They're going to put spring rubbers in the left and right rears. He had trash on the grill. They think that was helping to make them looser. 4 tires and fuel.
Leader Keselowski, upper right, 4 tires, no changes. Doc?
This is going to be a lengthy pit stop for Elliott Sadler. He said the car is bottoming out, and I quote, body slamming the racetrack. They're going to put 4 tires on, then they're going to raise the rear of the car. They talked about going underneath the hood of the car and raising the front of the car. Now they are going to raise the hood of the car. They're going to raise both rear, left rear, right rear. Now trying to get the hood pins off. They're going to go in and raise the front of the car. Luke Lamborghini said, Elliott, you're going to restart 20th. Last car on the lead lap. You got a good car. We're going to make it better. We got a lot of time to get there, buddy. Let's go ahead and take our time and fix it now. And again, the problem, it is bouncing on the racetrack, slamming the surface, and they cannot drive it. Guys?
Jake Lind, our over-the-wall reporter, with the close-up look at the work being done on Elliott Sadler's 2 car. A little strategy played by some on pit road. You saw the Mark Martin stop. We'll talk about it when we come back.
We're here to demonstrate.
Lap away from the restart here in Las Vegas. Don't forget the Tire Kingdom Gator Nationals qualifying 4 a.m. Eastern Time, ESPN2. The finals are at 6 Eastern Time tomorrow, Sunday. And next week, the NASCAR Nationwide Series is on to Bristol Thunder Valley. Need we say more? A little hard-nosed short track racing. That is at 1 Eastern Time, starting with NASCAR Countdown next Saturday on ESPN. Wrapping up the caution after a hard crash for Brian Scott. Jamie?
He's been checked and released okay. You brought a brand new race car. It was a rocket ship for most of that race. What happened? Where'd it go wrong?
Unfortunately, I just got trapped and working through lap traffic, and the 60 got outside of me. And this track gets it heats up in the day, and it's both tight and loose down there and just slick. And the 60 got around me, and it sucked me around. And you can go from a hero to a zero pretty quick in this sport. I tried to save it when I should have just spun it out, and it ended up hooking and going hard into the outside wall. I just hate it. Everybody on our Dollar General team did a great job all weekend. We had a really fast car. We had a car capable of winning. I think that we kind of went the wrong way on the last pit stop, and now our day's over.
Alan?
Glad to see Brian's okay. Mark Martin, 18, the leader. White and green car outside. Justin Allgaier, 31. Fuel only on their stops. Sam Hornish Jr. in the yellow 12 took right side tires. Brad Keselowski was the leader going on to pit road. A 4-tire stop for him, and he's hot after the lead in turn 2. And by the way, Elliott Sadler went from 7th place all the way back to 19th by that long stop to make adjustments on that car.
Yeah, you see Danica Patrick in the 7 in the top 10 now.
Wow, that was close. But Trevor Bayne in the 60 had his hands full there.
Yeah, these restarts are really an adventure for these guys. They've got low air pressure. They heard them talk about how slick this racetrack is, so you really have to be on your toes.
Stenhouse in the 6. Dillon in the 3. Gone in the 33. There's Bayne in the 60 and Casey Kane in the 38. Kane has led the most laps today. Shuffled back by some handling woes in that last stretch of the race.
Yeah, I still think he's fighting a little bit of a loose situation here on this restart also.
See Austin Dillon trying to hold off that 6-car Stenhouse. I talked to Andy Houston. He's a spotter on this team. He's an accomplished racer himself. He kind of coaches Austin from the roof. He said that's one of the things that they've been trying to work on is getting going after a restart. He said they typically lose some spots or lose a little time, but then after it gets going, he's got one of the faster cars. So it is one of the things that they're trying to focus on. But at the same time, you got to be careful because that's when you can get in the most trouble. If you try to push a guy too hard on these restarts, you can get in trouble. And I think Austin's done a good job of staying out of trouble.
Yeah, that's a good point. Speaking of somebody getting gone, Mark Martin's done a pretty good job from the start up there. Hadn't been in that position all day, but I think he likes what he sees.
Well, he had one of the fastest cars in that last run, and then this track position, I like that call of just getting fuel. That puts him out front and gets that clean air, and now you can see what he can do. And it looks like it almost everywhere we go. It seems like the track position is worth more than 4 new tires and getting your car up front.
But you like the idea that he's got an extra set of tires by not taking tires that time.
Well, he does. We were only halfway, too, and you were going to use up, another set right there. And really no reason to if the tire wear is good. It looks like the tires are holding up speed-wise. Even the 31 Allgaier able to hold off Keselowski, who got 4. Allgaier just got fuel.
Allgaier had gotten shuffled back when they pitted earlier in the race, and other people did not. And this move by his crew chief, Jimmy Elledge, basically got him back the track position that getting out of sequence with Keselowski and these other guys cost them before.
And we saw how fast this 22 car Brad Keselowski was that last run, and he's got fresh tires and not able to really do anything. See Danica Patrick here trying to take a spot away from Trevor Bayne, doing a nice job up in this group.
She's been getting better the whole race. I don't know if they're working on her car or whether she's just getting more and more comfortable. The track's coming to their setup, but she's been getting faster the whole race.
How about an update on that 7, Vince?
Boy, Andy, you hit the nail right on the head. Tony Eury Jr., the crew chief for Danica Patrick's been tweaking that car every time through on the pit stops, various chassis adjustments. It was wicked loose early on, but it's gotten better as the race has gone, and Danica's happy right now running in the top 10.
Looks like her teammates gotten better too. You see Cole Witt put a little pressure on her.
Here's for second place, Brad Keselowski, 22. Going to get the run on Justin Allgaier and get the spot.
Talking about gambling on some of these pit calls, I talked to Luke Lambert. He's saying that a lot of times late in the race, it's almost a bigger gamble to get 4 tires than it is to take the 2 or no tires to get the track position, because a lot of times you never get those spots back that you give up.
Because having these tapered spacers on these engines makes it more difficult because they have that lack of horsepower. So it makes it difficult when you get yourself mired back in traffic. That aero becomes a much bigger part of it.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 4th position in that 6 car. Working those hands. Love it when the drivers wear the white gloves.
I'll tell you, when Stenhouse is on it, you'll see his white gloves really moving in that car. He's never really turning left. He's kind of just catching the car all the way through the corner. I think it's one of the reasons he's so fast. Able to really keep it on the edge.
There's the scoring serial on Sam Hornish Jr. Let's talk the opposite side of the tail. We were talking about Mark Martin and the strategy call to get him track position. Elliott Sadler's team giving up 7th spot, going all the way back to 19th with the long pit stop the last time, halfway through the race. Thoughts on taking the time to work on the car and giving up that track position?
Well, I kind of questioned it when I saw that hood come up, because Elliott, I mean, just while watching, his progress was not that bad. The car wasn't that bad. And to give up all those spots, you think, you know, it might be hard to get back. I'm guessing that Elliott's telling Luke that it's bad enough that it's hurting the car, that if we can get it fixed in the second half of this race, we can make up some ground.
And I think it's a luxury that they have right now because they've had 2 good races to start the season. So they felt like that, hey, let's take a chance, get back here. Our car's fast enough. Maybe we can drive back up there. I think they'll certainly get back inside the top 10 and possibly a top 5.
Well, if there's any debate between driver and crew chief about whether or not to make the long stop, just before they decided to do so, the owner might have settled it for him.
Hey, Luke.
Yeah, 10-4.
I believe I'd do whatever adjustments I can. That car is really fast. If you get it right, you can just see where it loses time there. So I think if you go back, you're going to be able to drive back to the front. If you get him right, you'll drive it to the front.
That's right. I agree. We can make it right here.
Well, work to make it right is what they've tried to do.
And Richard's standing up on top. He can see what's going on. He was just kind of giving Luke a little bit of reassurance. Said, hey, you know, take a little time, fix it. We're going to be fast. Looks like it's working too. This car's really coming.
Yeah, it is fast. He was the 2nd quickest on the track that last lap. So car is fast.
Caught a lap car at a bad spot there. Had to get out of the throttle for a second.
Yeah, that's a bad feeling. You're trying to stay in that gas, and that car that you're anticipating is going to stay down, and all of a sudden he slides up. It's a panic for a second.
So Sadler, who started on pole after winning last Saturday's race at Phoenix, dropped all the way to 19th. He's up to 12th now. Still got a long way to go here at Las Vegas. The Nationwide Series championship leader. Yeah, that 2 cars trying to come back to the front. If you have again with bracketology, then at 6 Eastern, catch Sports Center for more coverage of the brackets. And at 7 Eastern, back to bracketology presented by Staples. Find out who's in, whose bubble got burst, and who our guys predict is headed to the Final Four Selection Sunday on ESPN.
Is there anything more fun than picking out those, trying to pick the winners of that and going all the way through?
Well, pick me one Final Four.
There's Kyle Busch. Final Four?
Yeah, one of them.
Kyle Busch back on the track.
North Carolina. That was easy. Kentucky's going to be hard to beat.
But is it with your heart instead of your head?
Yeah.
Kyle Busch back on track at a place that has frustrated him. Yeah, he's got a Sprint Cup win here, but this Las Vegas track's been kind of cruel to him, and so far the start of 2012 in the Kyle Busch Motorsports effort with crew chief Mike Beam there has been frustrating as well. The last corner crash with the checkered flag in sight at Daytona kind of struggled along to an 11th place finish last week at Phoenix, and here today was involved in a spin and a crash 25 laps into the race off turn number 2. Kyle back on track 70 laps down in 36th place.
Yeah, it's tough, you know, trying to build something new, and this is such a competitive series. And, you know, and Kyle Busch is used to running up front. He's not used to being back there running 10th, and sometimes you push things a little bit too hard, and then you look up on the scoreboard as you did last week and saw Denny Hamlin driving the 18 leading the race. Now here it is Mark Martin driving. He's trying to close back in on his all-time wins lead.
Yes, he is. Pretty good race for position here. Casey Kane, 38. Cole Witt, 88. Danica Patrick, 7. 14 car is Eric McClure. A couple of laps down.
Looks like Casey Kane really struggles after they put some laps on the tires. He starts backing up. He's holding up this group now. He's fell back into the grasp of Cole Witt. You see back there is Danica Patrick and Elliott Sadler.
And Sadler has run this group down from a little ways back. Check this out on his radio. Oh, hang on. That was close.
Pack's running 20s and 40s, 2 to 4 tenths better than him. Tell him, hold on, I'll be in a minute. Info.
Obviously, that was before that moment off of turn number 2.
Yeah, you can see he got a big arrow push as Danica's car kind of slid up there in front of him and took the air away from the front. But that just shows you what a win and confidence will do. Get you a little bit of extra pep to your step. And Elliott's feeling they had a little celebration this weekend, earlier this week, for his buddies at Aria Hotel out here. So he was feeling good coming in here and feeling like that he could come here and win 2 races in a row.
Started on pole today. Lost the lead on a pit stop, then got shuffled back in traffic when he had a little difficulty after that restart. And then his crew taking the time for the long pit stop just recently, about 29 laps ago.
Talking about drivers and their hands, boy, Casey Kane has his hands full with that 38 car right now.
Danica Patrick by him, Elliott Sadler drawing alongside. Kane led 40 laps in this race, has led more laps than anybody else so far today.
Yeah, it looks like that car's just sitting on that right rear tire. You can see right there, just hardly able to turn the wheel left at all, and it basically keeps him chasing it. And that's sometimes it's fast that way, but he's just too loose.
Mark Martin is the race leader. Brad Keselowski is running second, a man who's come within a lap or two of winning a couple of these races. Dave, he's within a couple of seconds of the leader at the moment.
And Vegas is not being good to him once again, Alan. Listen to his radio transmission about 10 laps ago.
All right, man, I got to fill you in on something. For some reason, and it may be on the car side, we're not getting fuel in this thing like we need to, okay? We're not, I can't even tell you right now how far we can go. We're not sure how much we got in it. We think we only have anywhere from 8 to 10 more laps. So if you feel anything sputter, just come to us, and we're going to have to overcome it, okay?
He's out.
So he is out, you guys. It sputtered on him, and the thing is, they have traded fuel cans. Both fuel cans have shown the return coming up in the neck like it was full, so they think it's on the car side. The car is not accepting the fuel, so they'll try to get it full now, but this is not good again for Brad here at Vegas.
Yeah, this closed loop fuel system where the vent and all of that is encasing the car in the can. It's really been a struggle for a lot of teams to make this work. It's made it take longer to fuel the cars, and then sometimes you don't get it full, and it's hard to tell if it is full. This is going to cost Brad a ton having to come down pit road under caution. Under green. He lost a lot of time on the back straightaway.
He's already going to be lapped down before he even gets to his pit stall.
Yeah, and it's not like they're even in a fuel window now that he can make it.
Well, they got bigger problems. They're trying to figure out why it won't take fuel. You can see the air coming up into the vent.
It's good, actually.
Looks like it took that can pretty well.
So that the live scene.
Go.
Trying to get the car fired. This is really a hard thing to do when it runs completely out of fuel. Having to pull that gas all the way from the fuel cell up through there. Mechanical fuel pumps on these cars.
And still they wait and watch and try to get that 22 refired.
Yeah, one of the problems is too, they're trying to put fuel directly into the carburetor through that opening in the cowl, and they could, the car wants a certain mixture of fuel. You can get it too much fuel in there and it won't fire. You get not enough, it won't fire. Now the NASCAR officials are telling them
Come on, Brad, it ain't got no rear squirter.
Going dead, I'm started.
Tommy, will help the push it.
You can hear the starter spinning over there. It finally does fire. What they're doing now, they're waiting until he has fuel pressure on the gauge before they let him go.
There, can I go? Yeah, go.
If he leaves that pit stall with no pressure on the gauge, it'll stumble and fall down again, and then they'll be stuck on pit road without able to fire it.
That is 3 laps down for Brad Keselowski. Now, you saw the live action. Watch the preceding pit stop when they weren't able to get the 22 full. Watch the fueling.
See, normally you'd see them switching cans right there, but they're still with the first can. See how much fuel. That can was still heavy when he let it down.
And Brad is going to have to come back in for a pass-through penalty. Probably when he, I'll double check, but probably when he came down pit road with no power on, the tachometer's not working, and he didn't know he was probably going too fast, even though he was coasting.
You know, when you run out of fuel, it's just so many things that it creates problems for. That was a couple of them we saw.
Yeah, you've experienced it. I remember once at Indianapolis when you ran out of fuel.
Yeah. And confirmed from NASCAR, it was too fast entering pit road. So, scratch Brad Keselowski from the picture of contenders. Mark Martin's lead on Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 1.7 seconds, 63 laps to go. What's going to happen next? Can changing Saturday 1 Eastern ESPN, starting with NASCAR Countdown. Kevin Harvick, a lot of success there. Kyle Busch, a lot of success there. There'll be a lot of would-be winners in the field, and that is next Saturday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. Here we are at Las Vegas, and we're about 3/4 of the way through the Samstown 300. Mark Martin is out in front, got the lead after his team went for fuel only on their last pit stop just at the midway point of the race. Caution coming out.
Caution's out. Caution's out. Debris. Turn 2.
There you go.
Inside the fuel window to make it all the way to the end. 56 laps to go now. Last year we saw Mark Martin go 60 laps to the end. You see right there the 50 of Bell is stalled.
Well, that's a significant piece of debris. Yeah. An entire race car.
Turning it over, it shows no oil pressure, no fuel pressure.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, that one usually run along either way there.
See if we got oil pump belt on that thing, because if you're cranking it, it should have oil pressure.
So, caution for the 6th time in the race brings the field behind the pace car, sets up what would be the final round of pit stops. And agree or disagree that the caution is a huge break for Elliott Sadler.
Yeah, he had driven up from like 20th spot up into the side of the top 10. So they got the car fixed. They needed to make up some of that ground that they had lost, and now they've done that with this caution coming out. If they can make up a couple spots on pit road, put him in a really good position to maybe challenge for the win.
And with the doubling up for the restart and so on.
Yeah, certainly a big break for him to try to get back into an opportunity to possibly win this race. But I'd have to say that this might be Mark Martin's final stop, especially the way that car performed.
I think it will be for any of these drivers up inside the top 10 because they can make it. They'll take track position. And I really like Elliott Sadler's pit stall. He's got the #1 pit stall by being on the pole. So, if they make a good stop here, he can make up a few spots.
14 cars on the lead lap. 30 of James Buescher will get the free pass. He'll become the 15th before the restart. And the pit stops are going to come with 54 laps to go. Vince, here they come.
Crew Chief Adam Stevens encouraging his crew to make sure they get Mark Martin's car packed with fuel. Open pits on entry and exit. The balance is neutral, so no changes, just 4 tires. Jamie?
Last stop, Justin Allgaier took fuel only. That was the right call for track position. This time, 4 tires. The driver's happy, no adjustment. Dave?
Trevor Bayne's car was very good at the end, but it didn't come to him quickly enough. 2 free at the start, 4 tires, track bar adjustment. Doc?
Ricky Stenhouse says that shade now in turns 1 and 2 has made his car tight for the first time today. 1 round up, left rear, 4 tires, down and away, 15 seconds. Guys, good stop.
Oh, that's going to be close. Give it to Stenhouse.
Yeah, Stenhouse gains a spot. That's big.
Danica Patrick's crew getting the job done.
Yeah, picking up 3 spots.
Elliott Sadler actually loses a couple on that one.
I wasn't kidding when I said it was close.
Yeah.
But the defending series champ, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to be the leader for the restart. His pit crew is very happy.
If you use the nice cold
beat off the pit road by just an inch or so. You see right here the pit stop going really smooth. We heard Vince say that they needed to get this car packed full of fuel to be able to make it to the end. So they get this thing jacked up. They let it down, but they hold him just that split second, you see, for the fuel. And that's, he just got outrun to the end of pit road by just a little.
51 laps to go. Stenhouse chooses the outside lane. Stenhouse 6, Martin 18, Bain 60, 1, 2, and 3.
I think that was really key right there. Mark Martin had been struggling on restart, especially down the inside. He was able to hold on to that second spot. That's going to give him an opportunity to certainly challenge Ricky Stenhouse here.
Now, I know you drivers like to keep those markers in your head. Remember, if you were with us earlier in the race, Stenhouse ran right up on Martin's back bumper. The air loosened Mark's car up. Mark had to make a nice little save. Will the roles be reversed here?
I promise you, Mark Martin has not forgotten that. And if he has to struggle too much here in trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse, he'll use that.
See, he's just trying to do it the old-fashioned way right now, just using the bottom side of the track. But Stenhouse just got so much grip and momentum on the outside.
You've got a lot of shade down in turns 1 and 2. I think the racetrack has picked up some grip down on that end. Great racing back here. Sam Hornish has passed 2 or 3 cars back there. Matter of fact, he was 3 wide last lap by.
Yeah, good racing for the lead. Good racing back toward the second half of the top 10. 33, Brendan Gaughan. 31, Justin Allgaier. 12, Hornish. There's Sadler in the 2, Kane in the 38. Danica in the 7. Danica had a little trouble in the outside lane in the first lap of the restart. Lost about 5 spots.
Well, they made some nice adjustment to Sam Hornish's car on that last pit stop because he really was struggling. Just took fuel the time before, but had fallen way back.
Well, now's the time you want the car to be at its best, right?
This is when you need it. Give it everything you got.
What did they say about that 12 car? What did they do to it, Jamie?
Well, before this round of stops, Sam was frustrated. He said, I think the left front is just filled up too much. So they made an air pressure adjustment on that round of stops, as well as a wedge adjustment. And as you guys see, it's making a big difference. And of note, the track temp has dropped about 35 degrees. It's at 77 right now.
Following up on what Dale said about those the shadows down in 1 and 2.
Yeah, that makes you feel like Superman. You get that grip back. You can drive the heck out of these things.
Yeah, and you think, you know, it's the same for everybody. The track gains grip, but sometimes that can change your car the way you've got it balanced, and it can make your car where you were good against the competition. When the track cools off, gets more grip, you might not have that advantage.
Kasey Kahne and Elliott Sadler were fighting for the lead in the early stages of this race. Now they're fighting for 9th and 10th spots. Kahne just ill handling. And I guess you could say the same about Sadler's team, though Sadler's team chose to make that long pit stop a couple of yellows ago.
Yeah, I wonder just how much they've helped Elliott Sadler's car, though. They have a car going through the grass here on the front straightaway.
Jeremy Clemens goes through the grass.
Nice and straight, nice and straight, nice and straight, nice and straight, nice and straight.
good job keeping the car straight, but boy, that was a rough ride.
We've seen that here before. Cars get into that tri-oval grass and hit the pavement where the Legends car track connects the big track main straightaway with the pit lane, and take a little air and mow a little grass.
Yeah, he mowed quite a bit.
Ricky Stenhouse hating that caution came out. He'd built up a nice little lead.
There's contact there.
Mawson.
Yep.
Yep. And here's where he goes for the ride. Right there. Got a little air.
Oh, yeah. Only gonna give you about a 6 on that.
Yeah, we've seen it done better right there. Yeah, that's pretty good job, though.
I think that was Josh Wise last year that, I mean, it looked like it was about 6 or 8 feet in the air.
Yep.
Jeremy did a good job. Yeah.
Really easy to try to overcorrect and drive through there and then find yourself in big trouble.
Yeah, he's in big trouble, though, until he gets to pit road. He's got the whole grill is plugged with grass. He's got to get that clear.
Jeremy was 17th a lap down at the time. Taylor Malsom, with whom he was racing, 14th and on the lead lap.
Yeah, they were racing for that lucky dog position. They're really trying to get that lap back. Racing a little too hard. He's got a little damage, too. Malsom does.
Free pass on this caution will go to Mike Bliss.
Mike Bliss, he's had a pretty good car this year. See, most of the leaders stay out.
Yeah, I think we've seen probably they did it for the last time.
Usually the 7 car, Danica Patrick making a pit stop, though. She was running at the top 10. Like a chassis adjustment, maybe they didn't feel like they could make it on the fuel they had.
Mike Lynette also on pit lane, one of the lead lap cars. 7th caution of the race after Jeremy Clements got tagged in traffic and went for a ride through the grass. 41 laps to go, make it 40 now here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, under caution for the 7th time, with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. leading and the cleanup continuing. Our in-race reporter for the day, Elliott Sadler's had kind of an adventurous afternoon.
Hey, Elliott, Dale Jarrett, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, DJ.
All right, I know you got one to go there, man. I saw you make some big adjustments there earlier. Did it help that car?
Yeah, but we didn't go enough. We did help it some. We just hit the racetrack so much on the splitter a lot. That kind of unhooks the front tires. We did a little bit of adjustment, which has helped it some. We just got to try to manage this finish the best we can, but still a lot of laps left, and anytime you get double foul restarts, anything can happen.
Okay, bud, thanks for talking. Good luck.
Thank you.
Elliott Sadler running now in the 10th position. He'll be on the outside of row number 5 for the restart. And as we get set to go, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the leader, has chosen the outside lane on Mark Martin in the 18. Pattern of the race, early first few restarts, outside lane 1. Then a couple of restarts, the inside lane car got clear. The last few restarts, the outside lane guy has gotten clear.
Well, since we're in Las Vegas, now if I was going to put any money on it, I'm betting on the outside lane this time. For a number of reasons. I think Mark Martin's a little bit loose on the inside.
October of '87, that's when Stenhouse was born. Mark Martin had 3 wins by that time in this series.
Well, could we see our 3rd nationwide driver in 3 races this year go to Victor Lane?
Yep. James Buescher at Daytona, Elliott Sadler at Phoenix, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. leading 39 laps to go. There's that big run off the outside of turn 2.
Yeah, if you remember back to last year, sometimes we see Sam Hornish go 3 wide into turn 3 now.
And Cole Witt in the 88 around Trevor Bayne in the 60 to pick up a spot or 2.
Wow, what a move that was.
Yeah.
I was going to say Ricky Stenhouse, we'd seen him last year sometimes had some problems on the restarts. He spun the tires there, but was still able to get going and get back by Mark Martin.
Oh, wow, that's TJ Bell turning his car.
Hey, you're looking at that. I'm looking at him 3 wide off the corner back there again. I didn't think there was enough room for that to happen.
I saw a car nose into the inside wall, and it concerned me there for a second.
Yeah, Brendan Gaughan losing a little grip.
the thought. TJ Bell turning his car into a safety area on the back straightaway, allowing the race to stay green. Nice job by him. Martin trying to find a way around Stenhouse. And they're still for fourth place on back. Mixing it up good. Allgaier 31, Bain 60. And company.
Yeah, they're all doing a great job. Just a lot of good racing. Austin Dillon doing a nice job in there too of controlling his car.
Put me behind the wheel for a second, Dale. You're in a pack like that. You know the checkered flag is getting close. You know you got to go. At what point does one of these drivers lose his cool and get frustrated and then something unfortunate happens?
Yeah, it can do that, but I think as much as anything, you find yourself, you have to be careful not to overdrive the car in these situations. You feel the racetrack giving you more grip. You know when things are winding down, you've got to make these spots as you can. You're not getting all the air to your car that you would normally like to have. So I think that's where you get yourself in more trouble if you're not careful, is in that type of a situation. But it is very easy to lose your cool if you get cut off or something happens in that regard.
See Austin Dillon right there, just kind of giving way and keeping his car from getting dinged up, getting in trouble. Kind of, I'll call it big picture racing already, even it's early in the season. He's got a fast car, but he's not doing stupid things and getting in trouble to try to get that one spot.
Well, this is just a learning process, too. What happens at the end of these races with these cars? He hasn't been here at this particular track to know exactly what his car is going to do. So, as you said, it's a learning process. If he gives up a couple of spots, he'll be better the next time he comes here. He'll be better in the next race for him.
And he used a conversation about Austin Dillon, Richard Childress' grandson, when we spoke earlier this week. And you talked about him really absorbing the RCR culture. You were a champion crew chief for Richard Childress Racing. What's the RCR culture?
No, scoring points. You see that 3 on the side of that thing. When I went over there, it was really all about, that whole culture is just going week to week and not giving up anything. Don't do things that get you in trouble. Don't do something on the car that might break or fall out of a race. And the driver, at the time was Earnhardt, obviously not doing anything dumb to keep, from getting a good finish. And I think he absorbed a lot of that. I talked to Will Lynn earlier this week, and he said that, they don't really talk to him about it, but he has, he's been around it. He's been exposed to that for a long time, his whole life, really.
Yeah, you don't see them beat themselves much. And I think that Richard instills that in. Oh, Elliott Sadler close to the wall. He'd made a pass there on Trevor Bayne, kind of slid up in front of him off of turn 2. Now he's able to keep that spot.
That's 5th position. Sadler, another of the drivers for Richard Childress Racing in this field.
As we talked to Elliott there, you could tell that he wasn't totally happy with his car. Knew there were some things they needed to do, but he said, we'll salvage what we can. Well, he's driven from 10th up to 5th. That's how you win championships.
60-car Trevor Bayne losing a little ground, Dave?
Yeah, 3rd to 6th in just 8 laps, Alan. He reported that the car they actually tried to make a change to tighten it up at the beginning of the run. Well, it got there. Trevor thought that as the air pressures came up across the board on his 4 tires that it would improve, but it hasn't, and he has not been able to challenge and even hang on to the position he restarted with, Alan.
All right, so talk about wanting your car to be the best it could be at the end of the race. Definitely not ideal for the moment for Trevor Bayne in the 60. Bayne in 6th position, 4.3 seconds behind the leader. That lead being held by his Roush Fenway Racing teammate, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the defending Nationwide Series champion. A couple of times on restarts now, he's had to fight off one of the series' greatest ever drivers, Mark Martin. Stenhouse stretching it out on Mark right now.
You behind on your tax.
BC.
Inside the final 50 miles of today's Sam's Town 300 for the NASCAR Nationwide Series, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is out in front, one of 8 different drivers that have paced the day. Mark Martin and Kasey Kahne have led the most laps. Drivers who've had trouble on the day: Kyle Busch involved in a crash, Brian Scott involved in a crash. A couple of drivers who'd run really well and toward the front of the field. And for the moment, it is Stenhouse, whose pit crew got him the lead on a set of pit stops a little while ago, who's managed to get away from Mark Martin on a couple of restarts since to hold on to the top spot. 4 seconds is the gap he's opened up on Mark Martin.
Yeah, they might have got him the lead, but he stretched it out for sure. Ricky Stenhouse is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, Mark Martin's car is not quite as good this run. Now you can see it's a little bit twitchy, maybe a little looser. I don't know what he's dealing with, but it doesn't look quite as good this run.
Check out this third-place driver as well, the rookie Cole Witt, running in the top 5 and doing a tremendous job, Vince.
It's been one of the top runs of the day, especially when you consider they've lost 12 spots on pit lane. Crew Chief Tony Eury Sr., how good is this car now as we go to the stretch, Pops?
I think we probably went about as far as we're going to go. Seems like that 18 and that 6 is pretty strong, especially the 6. But you know, Cole's done a good job today in the Tax Slayer car. We kind of damaged her a little bit yesterday and decided to fix it instead of getting a backup out, but we didn't really have any frame damage, just steering components and body. So we decided to fix it, and so I know the front of the car is not as good as it could be. We just did the best we could last night and hope to do the best we could today in that Chevrolet.
Pops Eury and Cole Witt. It's been a good combination so far, Alan.
In some traffic, pretty good race, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Elliott Sadler in the 2, Trevor Bayne in the 60.
Yeah, Trevor Bayne making that high line really work. Takes that spot back away from Sadler.
Well, that was a big move by Trevor. It looks like his car's working good up top.
Yeah, he's running a very similar line to what his teammate Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is running. They're really making those Ford Mustangs go around the top side here.
Probably didn't hurt anything that when the other guys caught in the traffic, he was still a distance back, and he was able to just pick his way through without any kind of hesitation.
Yeah, that.
I tell you, he's been working that high line. We saw it earlier.
This could get interesting.
He recovered well. He's flirting with that trash up there and that just outside of that high groove.
Now, they heard him talk earlier that his car would have gotten a little bit too tight. So you run up there, but man, if you overdrive it just a little bit or try to get back to the gas a little too soon, you find yourself up in that gray area, which you don't want to be in, but he keeps widening that groove out, getting a great run off the corner, though. Oof. Look at the power then. This makes it look like he's got 20, 30 more horsepower whenever it's just he's getting back to the throttle so much quicker and harder.
Right side of the screen for 9th and 10th. Sam Hornish Jr. 12, Casey Kane 38. Left side for 3rd.
You can see that little wiggle by Cole Witt right there, too. That Bayne being on the outside, just like he was of Brian Scott earlier whenever he lost control of his car. You just have to get out of the throttle and hold on.
Not with us earlier, Trevor Bayne's team not going to enter next Saturday's race at Bristol. No sponsorship on the 60 entry for the Roush Fenway team. They committed to running him in the first 3 races of the season anyway in hopes of attracting something. The team saying at this point it is unlikely that they will be at Bristol next Saturday with Trevor Bayne. They do hope to put together some more races for him later this season, plus the 17 he's running on the Sprint Cup side in the Wood Brothers Ford.
Well, he's a talented race driver, needs to be in race cars and just getting better, and that's the only way that he's going to continue to improve even more, and hopefully that funding will come around somewhere that will allow him to be in this series, because it makes this series better too.
And a tough spot for the team, committed to driver development, wanting to have Trevor Bayne and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in these cars full time, but with their Sprint Cup sponsorship side last year being a full house, if you will, and then the change in the economy and all of those contracts turning over, they don't have the excess just to kind of keep floating these cars, if you will, on the backs of the Sprint Cup side.
As much as we look at it as a sport, it is a business too, and you've got to make all of those dollars work, and you've been an owner, so you know you've probably been in this type of situation.
Oh yeah, I have, and I've actually run a few nationwide races without sponsorship just for this same thing, to cultivate new talent and do some things, but you can only do so much of that if you don't have the funding in place. And you know, with the Sprint Cup sponsors getting a little bit smaller and then not able to put, you see the 60 car with nothing on the quarter panel, so that's hard to make it work.
While they race for third and fourth, Bain's teammate Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has opened up nearly 5 seconds on second place Mark Martin, Doc.
Yeah, the young man is pulled away. Let me talk to Mike Kelly, the crew chief. Mike, your driver pulling away, doing a heck of a job. Yeah, you seem a little concerned, wrinkled face here. What are the concerns? You okay fuel-wise?
Yeah, we're fine on fuel. I know these races, how they come down at the end. The last couple weeks, I feel like we had good cars, and right at the end, something's happened. When they throw the checker flag and this thing's done in the books, then I'll be happy. Right now, we still got a job to do. We got 10 laps to go here.
All right, he keeps saying rhythm, guys. Rhythm to his young driver, making sure he doesn't lose focus here in the final laps.
Doc, thanks. While Stenhouse has opened up that gap for the lead, that race with Elliott Sadler and Trevor Bayne for third is still a heated one.
Yeah, it really is. And what can happen here, you talked about Trevor's car being a little bit tight, and you abuse that right front tire a little bit more by running it as hard as what he was. So I would imagine that that's part of it. Elliott Sadler's getting a little bit better, but Ricky Stenhouse, Trevor Bayne, it's like he's just falling off a little bit here, Dave.
Well, but DJ, that fight that got him back to third after he had fallen back to sixth came from his crew chief Chad Norris a bit. As Trevor began to prattle on just a little bit about how tight his race car was, Chad radioed back and said, "I don't care, go get those guys." And it was that propelled him around the outside to get those positions back. But as you say now, the right front abuse may be taking its toll.
All right, Dave, thanks.
I can see right there in that shot, the in-car shot, Trevor working that brake bias a little bit. Looked like he was turning it towards the front. I'm not sure if that means he's a little bit loose, trying to make it a little tighter, getting in the corner. But he was, you know, adjusting the brake bias.
But he's adjusting that. He's talking on the radio.
Yeah, he's busy.
And going 188 miles an hour.
Yeah. Nothing to it.
Day at the office.
Yeah.
Ooh. Morgan Shepherd giving him some room there. Wow.
They have a battle for second before this is over. Elliott Sadler's getting a little bit closer to Mark Martin up there. Mark's caught traffic in some wrong spots. There's Brendan Gaughan doing a nice job.
It's going to be for fifth place here as the 88 of Cole Witt continues to slide around a little bit.
Well, Brendan Gaughan told me today that he was expecting a top 5 finish for this 33 car. Looks like he's close to getting it.
All up to him now.
Yeah, right there, buddy. Go get it.
Gaughan, the Las Vegas native. Got a big run. Lap traffic there. That's Benny Gordon involved in an early crash. Back on the track after repairs. And resume.
Brendan Gaughan, one of those drivers that loves that high line anyway. We saw him a lot of years in the truck series, really making that work. Winning races in that series.
He's proven he's a wheel man today, isn't he?
He is that.
Nothing like home cooking. And here they go. For fifth place, still. Well, Andy, he told you he was going to get a top 5. Well, he just drove into fifth place.
Okay, he's got 7 laps to go, though. Can he hold it?
Yep. Brendan sharing this 33 car on the season. Remember, Kevin Harvick was in it last week in Phoenix. Brendan driving a variety of events for Richard Childress Racing this year. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series as well. Coming down to 5 laps to go. Austin Dillon, another solid job for the youngster. Just 21 years old, defending champion of NASCAR's Camping World Truck Series. Not just a Rookie of the Year contender in this Nationwide Series. He's a championship contender, too. Just behind him, Justin Allgaier, 31. Allgaier, team got off sync with some of the leaders on pit strategy earlier, then made a call for just fuel only, got them track position back, and you see there right now in 8th position.
I think maybe he was expecting a little more out of this today, but they have rebounded well, and they needed a good, solid run after their start to the season.
That's 8th place for Allgaier. You've got Sam Hornish Jr. in 9th. Kenny Wallace having another steady run in 10th position in the 09 car.
He's having a good run. This team is really struggling to try to get a sponsor on this car to keep Kenny in the seat all year. Kenny doing his part, running the top 10.
Kept it on the lead lap, overcame a penalty earlier that made him drop to the back of the line for a restart. And fighting there with Kasey Kahne for that final spot in the top 10. And to the stripe, race leader Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 2 laps to go. Other cars on the lead lap. Danica Patrick running in 12th position, as high as 6th after that last caution, slipped back some on the restart.
It looks like the last set of tires that they put on didn't agree quite as much as maybe some others, and they had to come back in, make an adjustment. But she's had a very solid day. And I think anytime you're finished right behind Kasey Kahne, you've done a pretty good job.
Baby, bring it back.
Yeah, this is a good rebound day for that team after last week at Phoenix and not having a good one.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the series championship last season, scored a couple of wins, both at the same racetrack, the Iowa Speedway. Went from, as the story goes, nearly being put out of a ride. Jack Roush believed in him. They rode to a championship last year. Now just 3 races into this season, he's going to go to victory lane at Las Vegas. Stenhouse Jr. wins it. 5 seconds back to Mark Martin, who will come up 1 spot short. 88-3 for 6th place. It'll be Cole Witt who'll get that spot. But the day today about Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who scores the win, his 3rd career victory, first on a super speedway, and certainly after some...
Good job there, guys. Good job. We work on the car all day. Awesome pit stop. This is what we deserve, man. We can do this all year.
Certainly after some tough luck in the season opener at Daytona when he was swept up in that crash off the final corner that set his championship bid off to kind of a slow start. He'll gain a little bit of ground today, Dave.
He certainly will, and we talked to his crew chief, Mike Kelly, just a couple minutes ago. Let's talk to the car owner, Jack Roush. Good run for him today and a great comeback for the champ.
That was a great comeback. You know, they didn't start off with a car that was a real beating car, but the Ford Fusion had good potential, and they worked on it all day, and they got it better than the rest of the field at the end there.
You know a little something about the guy who was chasing him. You're a little bit nervous there with Mark Martin right behind?
Yeah, when Mark fell back there, I figured he was saving his tires, and I was encouraging everybody to be ready for a restart because Mark could have been, he could have been real treacherous on a restart there if he'd saved his tires.
Congratulations, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Jack Roush, winning car owner today. That 6th car looking strong again this season, guys.
55 laps to go on a pit stop. Jack Roush's pit crew for Stenhouse got him out ahead of Mark Martin with the lead. He held off Mark over 2 restarts and got away to score his 3rd career victory in the NASCAR Nationwide Series. Stenhouse Jr. wins it to victory lane when we come back. Winning is a happy time. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. climbing out of his car a moment ago. And hearing it from the crowd. And while Stenhouse Jr. makes his way into victory lane, Mark Martin came up 1 spot short today, Jamie.
He did finish 2nd in his first run in the JGR car. You've watched what these guys are capable of, Mark. How would you sum up your first experience here?
Gosh, just thanks to Joe Gibbs and everybody at JGR and Interstate Batteries. And this Toyota was awesome, and they were awesome. And I just, I needed to run a race, you know, and see if I could find a few things that maybe we could work on to improve. And I've got a few ideas, but that was one serious beatdown Ricky Stenhouse Jr. just put on me there at the end. That was a serious beatdown, man. That was, I almost wrecked the car about probably 5 or 6 times, and it was just like, I can't do it. Man, he was gone.
And that comes from a 4-time winner here. And Alan, he just told me he wants to run 6 more races in this car if they find sponsorship.
Well, sure would be fun to see Mark run those 6 more races. Well, he found his way to victory lane, back inside the Neon Garage where all the fans can share in the celebration. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with Dr. Jerry Punch.
What a neat scene back here in victory lane. So cool, the fans surrounding us, Ricky being pelted by all kinds of energy drinks, having a sip here. Ricky, congratulations. You know, Jack Roush made the call in the offseason for you to come back and to defend your nationwide title. So how important is this victory here today in race number 3 of the season?
It's huge, man. Just all these guys working in the shop off season. They've been working their guts out. I think Ford EcoBoost. This Mustang was fast today. We didn't have it great at the start. Mike Kelly and the guys had awesome pit stops, made the car, as good as we needed it. I got to thank Noss, Oakley. This is the first weekend that I had my buddy Donnie Ray Crawford riding with me on my suit here, so that was cool to have him. And Chad Norris lost his dad this weekend, so this goes to them.
On the final restart, you look out your left window, and there is one of the all-time greatest ever to buckle up in the series, Mark Martin. You're going to have to out-restart him and outrun him in the final laps. What were you thinking?
Yeah, it's tough. We were talking in the truck going around after driver intros, just about everything in his racing career, and to be up there alongside of him, who ran this number 6 so long for Jack Roush, it was cool to be able to start beside him. He raced us really clean and had a lot of fun with it.
Hey, congratulations. Great start to the year.
I think Nationwide Insurance, too. This series is awesome. I'm glad to be the champion and look forward to hopefully defending it.
Ricky Stenhouse in victory lane. Let's go to Vince Welch.
Nice bounce back race this weekend for Danica Patrick after some struggles at Phoenix last week, and you came